So today's session is about finding reusable images. It is part of a series, the Scholarly Snippets Workshop series, designed to help you advance your research skills and support your scholarly activities. So whether this is your first time or you're a repeat person to join us, we welcome you and are glad to have you join us. So these sessions are about 30 minutes maximum in length. Today's session is designed with the goal for you to be able to use Google search to find images designated for reuse and to identify databases, both free and licensed by libraries, with images that can be reused. So there are a few considerations to think of beforehand. One is probably a lot of our favorite topics of copyright, right? This session, we don't really have time to cover copyright, but there is a recording on our YouTube channel from the session, Does Copyright Apply to That?, conducted by Lisa Ennis with the Alabama College of Osteopathic Medicine. So feel free to take a look about it if you'd like a refresher on copyright. Another important consideration is that you need to cite any images that you use. And citation is not a substitute for permission. So we have to make sure that our images are designated for reuse, even if we cite them. Unfortunately, the AMA manual style does not provide specific guidance on how to cite images. So a lot of what I've seen online, it's the recommendation to cite it as a website. The final consideration, but certainly not the least important, is to be intentional about the images you select and the messages that they may send. So trying to find images that reflect people that are diverse and images that are inclusive. Because I've heard from students who've shared that, the patient of the week, the first time they saw a person of color was for sickle cell anemia. Or when it comes to skin conditions, seeing a person of color for sexually transmitted diseases. So just things to think of if you're not already, as you are looking for images to make sure that they are representative of the diverse populations we serve. So let's get into actually finding some of these reusable images. This is certainly not an exhaustive list, but it's what I feel comfortable that we can cover today in a brief session. And these are things too that please feel free to reach out to your librarians or in your library team so that they can help you with these resources, because these are things that I have access to at California Health Sciences University, and you may or may not have access to these resources. Well, the free ones you will though. So the free ones we're going to go over are Google and Medpix. The licensed resources that we're going to go over are Access Medicine, ClinicalKey, LWW Health Library, Medical Education, and Med1 Education. So let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and get started with Google, which I'm sure we have all probably used before. And I'm going to move this part of the screen over. Okay, so here, if I search for, and I'm going to turn off my camera for the moment so I can see my screen. If I search for scoliosis, as an example, automatically I get all different types of images and they are not filtered by whether or not they can be reused. So stuff from Mayo Clinic, spineuniverse.com. So before you start finding images that you really like, I highly recommend you come up here to Tools, which is underneath the search bar. And then on usage rights that you look down here. So there's two options. There are Creative Commons licenses, which you may have heard of. These images are generally free to use, but require credit. Sometimes they have limitations on how or in what context you can use them. For example, you might not be able to modify it or create derivatives, or you may not be able to use it for commercial purposes. The commercial and other licenses are those that you could pay for. So sometimes icon websites, they don't provide them for free, but you have to pay for them, or other images. But this also includes images that are in the public domain. And by that, the copyright has lapsed or it never existed. So a lot of our US government materials, actually, most of them other than like the logos, are in the public domain. So if I click here on Creative Commons licenses, it now filters. So a lot of these Wikimedia Commons. So if we can click on the image, we can go ahead and go visit the web page. So you can download this. And then down here, it should be some information usually whenever they have it. So this is a Creative Commons license. So this one has the user's name. So that's how you can find on Google images, reusable images. So once you do your search, under tools, you go down to the licenses and you look for Creative Commons licenses. You don't have to, but that's one of the easier ways to do that. So the next resource we're going to talk about is Medpix. So this includes images, teaching cases, and clinical topics. So you can browse by those or you can search for a topic. So, and this resource is managed by the National Library of Medicine. It is free for your personal use and teaching, including handouts and syllabi. However, they do recommend that you contact the original contributor for anything beyond personal use. So I'm going to pull over the Medpix website. So as I just said, you can either search by cases or you can browse by topics, or most often, we're probably going to just search for our topic. So if I start typing scoliosis, it's going to have some suggestions for perhaps more specific variations. I'm just going to keep it simple for this search and look for scoliosis. And then you would browse through your images. If you find one that you want to look at, if we go to view here, we'll be able to see that image. If there's more than one, in this case, there are only two, you'll be able to see both or any images that are associated with the case. It's pretty high quality images usually that you can zoom in on. The author is listed here, and this is where you would need to have the author's name for citations for the sources. So Medpix is primarily going to be a lot of the radiological images. But it does have some nice case information in there too. So the next resource that we're going to cover is Access Medicine. Now, this resource by McGraw-Hill has a lot of others. It has Access Pharmacy, Access Dermatology, and lots of other products, but their terms of use are pretty consistent. So it's for your personal and your educational use, and they do clarify what educational use means to them. So classroom teaching, lectures, presentations, so forth. The one thing that they do note is that you cannot create derivative works or share materials via mail lists or electronic bulletin boards. And if you're thinking about what is a derivative work, think about memes as an example. And I've seen some students in particular come up with some hilarious memes that come from these images. But at least for this one, for Access Medicine with McGraw-Hill, they're saying you can't actually do that. So let's take a look here at Access Medicine. I'm going to do something a little different, and I'm going to look for thromboembolism, assuming I can spell it correctly. And so it's going to default to all different types of resources. So it shows us over here on the left the format. Most of these are book chapters. We can go down and we can check the box for images so that it filters out only those that are images. And you would scroll through and find the one that you would like. You can click either on the image itself or where it says view in context. They're going to do the same thing. So then when you get over here, it takes you on down to that, and it's a pretty high quality image. Sorry about that. I thought I had closed out of that. So you can view the full image, but then what you really want to do is go to download slide, and then it will go ahead and start to download. So then when you have it, it will have all of the information from the source with it. Not formatted in a citation, but at least you have all the information that is there. You know, we're doing a whirlwind tour, so if you have questions about anything up to this point, please let me know. All right. So now let's talk about ClinicalKey. So ClinicalKey is an Elsevier product, and they're a lot more strict about what they allow and do not allow. But they do say that authorized users have permission to use content from the site in presentations for non-commercial use, and that you must keep all copyright and proprietary notices intact. We come over to ClinicalKey, it's going to be like Access Medicine, where you're going to want to search for a particular topic again. first. And then, no, I'm not going to provide any feedback. We can see that in this case, there's almost 2,400 images. So when you start to look at images here, what's nice is that you can select multiple images. And up here, it now shows that I've selected 2 that are on this page. You can save it, which means in an Elsevier free account that you create, or you can add it to a presentation. Both of those features require you to create a free Elsevier account. So the advantage to that is that you can download multiple images at one time without having to download them all individually. If you choose the email option, it's just going to send you a link back to the image. Nothing really in particular. So I'll go ahead and say add to presentations. It reminds me I need to log in. See if I remember my login, and I do. Okay, so evidently log in first, forgot that part. Add to the presentation. So you can either create a new one or you can add it to an existing presentation. And then you'll be able to download it and it will include the image and all of the citation information for it. So next, we're going to talk about LWW Health Library Medical Education. So they note that these materials, images are for your own personal, non-commercial, informational, instructional, or scholarly use. You need to maintain copyright and other proprietary notices. You can share their resources with students and faculty within your university, but they can't keep just passing it on from there. So this resource is great before, it has the Bates Guide to Physical Examinations. It has a lot of the osteopathic texts, but LWW Health Library also has pharmacy and probably a couple other things as well. I just know we had the pharmacy and medical education ones. So if I come over here and I'll search for scoliosis again. Just like all the others, it mixes all of the resource types together, but I'm going to scroll down and click on image. So some of them are pictures, some of them are illustrations. I'll just keep going because there are here some of this for Foundations of Osteopathic Medicine of how to do that exam and check for scoliosis. So I'm going to click on the image, just like some of the other resources. It takes us to where it is in the article. And then you can click on download the slide. Okay. So this one, you just have to do them individually. And then we download it. There's the image and the source, the information for it. So the last resource that we're going to go over today is TEMA Med1 Education. So they note that their images are for personal non-commercial use. You're authorized to download select contents for classroom use only. The interesting thing here is that if you do create any derivative products like a meme, the copyright automatically belongs to TEMA. And they also ask that you maintain copyright and other proprietary notices. So for Med1, we'll do the same we'll do our search term. Did I spell it right? I did, I think. So then over to the left, I filter just for images, although it includes videos and audio as well. And so for this, even though it has the checkbox, it really only lets you compare the images, so to see them simultaneously. If you would like to be able to download them to reuse them, you have to click on the image itself. And from here, you can click on PowerPoint so that you can download the image. So I went through that a little bit. I ended up going faster than I anticipated. But do you have any questions about any of the specific resources that I demonstrated for how to find some images? Hi, Dr. Hill, yes.
Could you send us a list of all those websites? That would be really helpful.
Absolutely.
Maybe bulk email it out or whatever.
Yes, I will be glad to send that out. So I'll post these notes. I'll send you that link as well. We have a copyright guide where I link all of the databases that we have that have images for use, not just the ones that I showed today. I also know like Alabama College of Osteopathic Medicine has a similar type of guide, but for those at my university, I will be glad to email you that. Okay, Kyle is putting the links for the survey. Oh,
kind of a question.
Yes, Dr. Douglas.
So in addition to that list, that if we're perusing around, that it's a really good idea to go to the tools and set for common on the license and have that filter.
When you are doing a Google image search, yes, to go to tools and then filter for Creative Commons images. So I will come back on over here to Google again to show that. So let me clear everything. So when you do your search here under tools, then under usage rights, that's where you can find the Creative Commons. Did that answer your question, Dr. Douglas?
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Sean, I see that you had asked about the video on copyright that I mentioned. I think Kyle can put in the direct link, but I just did scholarly snippets on YouTube. And for what I searched for. And we have all of our videos there. So technically no playlists, but all of our videos. So, and that's where we're going to post this one as well. Any other questions at this time?
Thanks for that. This is Sean Kerger. The YouTube I was looking for, I don't see on the list there. Kyle just posted a copy, maybe that's it. It was the one on does this apply to copyright or something like that?
Yes.
There it is. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now we want to make sure that you can find it. Okay, and did you have anything else? I'm sorry.
Just my thanks.
You're welcome. And Joanne asked if I could please expand on what is a derivative work. So I use the example of creating a meme. Well, actually, here's even one in another video. Nope, nope, nope. But another derivative work even could be, I don't know that a handout necessarily is considered a derivative work, but it could potentially be. But you're taking that image and you're modifying it. That's really what a kind of a derivative work means in that sense.
Katie, this is Joanne. I just wanted to clarify because when some of us are making handouts, there in the past, I know that chapters or portions of books have been put into handouts, and I'm not sure if that's allowed, that type of thing. So beyond images. So I'm not sure if you're able to address this question.
Not off the top of my head. I'd have to go and look more. So what I was about to say was I'd have to look into a little bit more, and some of that might a little bit cover more delve into copyright. So yes, I'd have to go into it a little bit more to look and see in terms of creating a handout, because I think somewhat the amount of it, if you're reusing the images and you're still providing your own text, I think that's, I don't know how much that's a derivative work aside from copyright.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions or comments? We kept this pretty short. This is just an introduction, and I highly encourage you to reach out to your library team at your institution. And for those of you that do work here with me, come and see us or email us. We'll be glad to help you with this. But if there are no other questions, that's all I had to share today for this Scholarly Snippets session. You're very welcome, Sean. Thank you.